Hello, Art 1-2, and welcome to your drawing the mouth or mouth demonstration. So I'm going to start with one where the mouth is closed, you cannot see teeth, and then the second one I'll draw is an open mouth with teeth. Or if you're smiling, how would you draw that? So this one takes a little bit longer. We'll do that one second. All right, so things that I would want to point out is I already have my guidelines for corner to corner. So that's where you're going to want to start. So for like hers, I would definitely do like this little corner, that little corner, get the angle. I would also give myself a guideline for the angle of the bottom of the teeth because her teeth also angle and they're parallel to the nose, parallel to the eyes, same parallelness. Then I would give myself guidelines where like if you can barely see your lips, I would flip up the grid and you might have to gently kind of draw them, the outlines of them with your pencil. So if you have a side view, like Charlotte, definitely do corner to corner and then I would get that swoop. And then I always look at where the center of the lips line up with the center of the nose. So hers is at an angle because her face is slightly tilted. I also look at how like this part's more curved. So if you're looking in a direction or your head is tilted in a certain direction, it's more curved in that direction. So that's not true for this one. Okay, so then for like this one, if you're total side view, I would like get that contour outline and then I look at how the bottom lip kind of tucks up into the top lip. So I would look at that V as a negative space to be able to then draw that division. And then I notice how like the center of her lips right here still lines up with the center of her nose. So if you want to give yourself a little guideline, you can. Okay, so for this one, I need something to go underneath my hand. Okay. Let's do that. Okay, we are ready. Okay, so the first thing I would do is the center curve, and then I do the bottom curve if you can see it. So if you can't see it, like this one, then obviously don't draw it. Okay, so I'm kind of giving myself like a guideline. Here's the center of my nose. So the center of her lips will be there. And really, the center of her lips come about halfway. Halfway. Like the top of her lips are there. So I'm just going to do that, but then I feel like the center part kind of curves down slightly below that. And I would look like, is your upper lip more curved? Are they more like my personal lips are more peaked at the top. They're kind of come a little more pointy at the top of the curve. So then I'm going to give myself a guideline for, okay, I can see her curve before this line. Okay, that curve. And then where does it pass through the grid? Actually, it starts sloping down like here. And then where does it end? I'd say higher than what I had. Probably like. And I'm making sure I'm checking how does it line up with the eyes, the corner of the mouth. Like a little bit on the side of her eye. Okay. And I'm going to double check this side while we're doing that. Okay, center of the eye. Yep, okay. Then I'm going to look at where the contour outline kind of passes through the grid right here. Okay, and I can see a little bit of the corner of her lips there. All right, then I'm going to actually draw the line between the two lips. And I'm looking at how it kind of slightly curves down in the center. Some of you that's very pronounced, some of you not so much. And for her, slightly curves up close to that grid line. And then it slightly curves up. Okay, so many guidelines for the center line. So then I can use that to then, sometimes I think it's easier to flip up the grid. Okay, and then it kind of flattens out for her. make that a little lighter. That was a little bit too dark. Okay. So I'm going to do I would do the bottom edge, and I'd also give myself the curve where it passes through the grid. So that is what I'm going to look at. Okay, so that does line up like right here. And it's kind of like squarish-y. Like it squares off a little at the bottom. So that's what I also look for. Like, is your bottom lip a little flatter at the very bottom and then it curves, or is it more squarish like on the outside, or does it kind of curve where it meets the corner of your mouth? So nose is going to look big, lips are going to look big. Like I'm like, oh my God, those are too big, but they're not. They line up how they should. It's all the shading that's going to make them look, you know, as they do in real life. Okay, so I'm gonna flip up. I gotta just look at how that. Okay. So I look at how her top lip is a little bit more narrow in the corner than her bottom lip. Like it kind of curves into it. Same thing over here. Well, now I feel like this needs to get adjusted. I feel like hers don't curve up as much. She's a very barely pronounced dip at the top of her lips. Okay, so then I am going to value map a little. I'm going to erase my guideline there. Little dip that you can see above the top lip, kind of like the Cupid's bow area. And so she definitely has like a darker value on that side, and then her shadow kind of starts over there. But she has that little dip part. So for some of you in here, it's like a definite shape. I will go ahead and value map it, or draw the shape of it for the value where it's at. For hers, like it's barely visible. More visible in some other pictures. Okay, so there's a closed mouth. No, that's it. The rest is shading. The only thing I want to remind you is, remember, your nose is going to look big. Your lips are going to look big. Your eyes shouldn't look too big. I double checked because I feel like her eyes look big, but when I looked at the spacing of the eyeball, because there's shading on the eyeball too, that'll make it look smaller. Okay, so if you need more help, there are tons of videos on how to draw lips on YouTube. So you can always YouTube how to draw lips in pencil, and there's tons of them. All right, moving on to, if you can see, teeth. If you can't see your teeth, I'll see you in the next video, which is the hair video. You'll pick which one pertains to your hair. All right, so for people that you can see teeth, or your mouth is open or making some kind of expression, I do the same. I start where the curve is on the top lip. So I'm looking, his happens to just be like right on this line, but I'm looking at where the center of his nose is. Okay. You find her for all the rest. Okay, so looking at how his mouth comes over like halfway. But I'm also looking at what does the side of the mouth line up with, like this part of the nostril. Okay, so his kind of like curves. It's slightly above the grid line. Okay, slightly below halfway is where the creases of the mouth, like that's where the shadow kind of starts. All right, then, and I'll come back to this part. I'm just giving myself guidelines for the whole opening of the mouth. So outside lip opening, and then we'll do inside lips. Okay, so a little bit past halfway. So here. All right, curve. Oh, I got lucky. His lip ends like right on this line, which is 8 and 9. Yep. Okay, but then I need a guideline probably for that curvature. Okay, moving to the next one. Actually, the lip kind of comes down slightly below the line on that side. And yeah, look again, it kind of lines up pretty close to that box. I'm double checking. Okay, that's 7 and 8, 7 and 8. Yes, D and E. Yep. Okay. Then I'm looking at how that curves over on this side. So there's halfway, half of halfway. So his lip comes all the way up to like half of halfway. So kind of look at that kind of angles. Let me double check. Oh yeah, a little bit bigger. Than what I have. All right, so just remember that if a part of your face is facing away from you, like this side, then that side of the lip is going to be smaller. So this side of the lip on the left is going to be bigger, longer, more stretched. Okay, now I'm going to do the inside contour line. A little bit below. Here's halfway, half of that, a little bit below that. And so usually your lips usually curve down a little bit in the center part. And then kind of hurts. There's like shadow. That is it's like the lip and the inside of the cheek is such a similar value. So that's just going to have to happen in the shading part. Okay. Other side. It curves up a little bit. And then his lip kind of curves into the opening over here. Like that's a little bit too much right there. Okay. And it comes up to about, let's see, a little bit below halfway, a little bit below. So it's the opening on the top of the bottom lip. Okay, then I'm going to kind of clean it up. I'll erase some of my guidelines. Now I'm going to do a general guideline for the bottom of the teeth and then those teeth. So I'm just looking at not the shape of them yet, just the guidelines for them. Like how far down on the box do they come? And just so you know, your teeth are going to look like horse teeth until you shade them, because even your teeth need value. So don't freak out and think that they're wrong. Like if you're using your viewfinder and lining everything up, it'll be okay. I promise. Okay, so this big tooth comes down to there. And then the other tooth is a little bit halfway, half of halfway, like here. And then if this is halfway, it's slightly above that. Okay, so like there. It's pretty much like a slope. Okay, other side, just general contour guideline, pretty much. Okay. I like this side of that major tooth. Then I have like a little tooth back in there too. That's in the shadows. Okay, so looking how far down this tooth goes. About halfway. Or they're gonna look big. And then I'm also, okay, so maybe let's bring this up a little bit. Like, I was looking at the space between the teeth and the grid line, so. Okay, all right, bottom teeth, if you have any showing. Okay, so like here. There's like a negative space there, and I can kind of see like another tooth back in there a little bit. A little. All right. I'm just going to give myself the general kind of curvature, and then here I can see a few tiny little teeth. Okay. Then for the teeth. So the center of your nose is also lines up with that center part where the lip dips down, which also lines up with the center of your two front teeth. So that is what I'm looking for. And I'm also gonna look with my viewfinder. So this is like a really important part to get the spacing. So it's like half of halfway, which does line up in the center, does line up with the center. Okay, so look at that division between the front teeth. Okay, so then my next one's about in the halfway mark of the box itself. Okay, and then make sure that they get smaller as they get further away from you. Okay, so those still look very, very huge. Okay, so then I have just a little bit on the side of that grid line is the other front tooth. So the teeth that are facing you are going to look bigger. So these teeth look bigger than these teeth because these are closer to the viewer, or they're facing, you know, the camera. Looking like not quite halfway, but close. Okay, like half of halfway. Those little cute fingers. Okay, and then he has a molar there, and then it kind of curves there. Up here I can see like one tooth, little piece of one. Okay, I'll clean that up like when I actually shade. All right, now I would draw the gum line if you can see the gums, because that's going to help you draw the top of the teeth. So I'm going to look at like the space above and not necessarily the teeth themselves. Okay, so how this is this tooth. Okay, so it curves, and actually, yeah, I'm going to move this over slightly, like a smidge. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, so look at how the curve kind of touches the top of the lip. This one I can see like the side of it. And this one I can only see like a tiny bit of gums. All right, then from this one, I can see the gums above the tooth. And it kind of squares off over there. And so I'm kind of looking at like the line. So this one kind of like comes up to a point. And the same with the next one, but the point is more like here and towards the inside. And this one kind of curves over. Okay, so I feel like these teeth need to come up a little bit. Or maybe his lip needs to come down. Nah, that teeth need to come up. I'm just gonna like give myself a double line and then erase the lower one. Yeah, just a smidgen for those. Okay, so now I'm gonna focus on the bottom. And I would focus on each tooth like a separate shape. Hold on, let me sharpen my pencil before we do this part. So it's really the bottom of I mean, yes, look at the top, but it's the bottom of the teeth that make them look like your teeth. Okay, so this is like this one's a little more square, and it comes down squarish in front of this one. This one becomes a little curved on the edge, and it's a little more rounded. Usually as the teeth are facing away from you, they'll look a little more rounded. And then that one rounded. Okay, this one is more curved on the side, square in the center. I think that part needs to come up a little bit. Okay. Alright, then this one is definitely like rounded and then flat and then more curved. This one kind of curves over and up, and this one is definitely pointier. And then he has like another tooth back in the shadow part. And the little detail, actually I can kind of see a little bit of this side of that one down in there. And so the detail of the teeth are going to come with shading. Just remember, like, does the center of the teeth line up with the center of the nose? Actually, now this looks tilted. Hold on. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So the center of the top teeth lines up with the curved center part of the upper lip, and it lines up with the center part of the nose. Let me show you another example of that before. Oops, sorry. Where's my other one with teeth? Okay. So I would just kind of, you might have to tilt your image. So the center of the lips lines up with the center of the teeth, which then lines up with the center of the nose. And also look at like the angle, because the angle should be parallel of, if you can see all your teeth, parallel to your nose and your eyes. So just double check that. And they will look big until we shade them. Like these have shadow on them, those have shadow on them, you know, the sides of them do. We're gonna make them look white and shiny. All right, I'll see you in the next video.